Hello and welcome back to Hestia's Muse, podcast for astrological devotionals. My name is Liliana Blackstar, and I am here to bring you a spiritual devotional of self-discovery and personal growth that is in some way inspired by astrology. Join me to tune into astrological transits and the Wheel of the Year for inspiration in your greatest task in life, to know yourself. Welcome back, or welcome to the podcast for those of you who are new here, and to all that are returning. I'm so excited to share yet another tarot card with you. So each of the tarot cards are in some way associated with an astrological sign, a decan, a season, or a planet. The Eight of Wands is the minor arcana card that is associated with the first decan of Sagittarius. Decans are subdivisions of signs. Each sign is divided into three parts: a beginning, a middle, and an end. For the sign of Sagittarius, these are the first decan, which is 0 through the 9th degree. The second decan is 10 through the 19th degree, and the third is the 20th through the 29th degree. Each sign is ruled by a planet, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, but each decan is also sub-ruled by a planet. So you can think of the sub-ruler as like a shift manager. They are in charge of just this one little section, even though Jupiter is the big boss of the sign. These planets have some rulership over just the decan. So while the entire sign of Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, these first 10 degrees, that 0 through the 9th degree of Sagittarius, is also sub-ruled by Mercury. So you can think of the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius to be very mercurial in nature. Overall, the transits and lessons of Mercury will be extra influential to any planet that is traveling through that first decan of Sagittarius. So the tarot card associated with this decan is the Eight of Wands. Therefore, you could also interpret the Eight of Wands as having a strong Mercury influence, or to represent Mercury in Sagittarius. Now, Mercury does not have to just be in Sagittarius for this card to be relevant. It's still a Mercury card and a Sagittarius card primarily, and don't limit yourself to just thinking it only represents Mercury in Sagittarius. It's a Sagittarius card, and it's a Mercury card. So you want to take those into account when you are interpreting this card. So let's have a look at the Eight of Wands. It is generally going to depict the 8 wands flying through the air, depicted by 8 wands that are in flight against a clear sky in the background. This card symbolizes the quick transmission of information, opportunities, or events. It signifies swift and dynamic energy that is often associated with rapid development and progress, or things moving very quickly. This card suggests a period of accelerated growth or accelerated change, where projects are moving forward at a brisk pace and communication is happening rapidly or effortlessly. So the Eight of Wands encourages us to be ready for action and to take advantage of this momentum, as it indicates a time of high energy and favorable conditions for just like moving forward, right? This card can also represent travel, both literal and metaphorical. It's highlighting just the movement of either things or people or ideas from one place to another. And it highlights the need to stay focused and adaptable as events are unfolding swiftly and sometimes unpredictably. This card indicates things are already in motion. You cannot change the direction of the wand that you have thrown after you throw it. It's going to keep going in the direction that it has been thrown in. So there's an energy of things already being set in motion. So some keywords for the Eight of Wands are acceleration, busyness, dynamic energy, express delivery, fast-paced, forward momentum, movement, momentum, opportunities, progress, quick action, rapid development, ready for action, receiving news or information, travel, and things already set in motion. So that's the basics of the Eight of Wands tarot card. Let's take a look at Mercury. So Mercury is the planet associated with communication, intellect, and thought processes. Its position in the natal chart and transits influences how individuals express themselves, process information, and engage in mental activities. So Mercury governs not only verbal and written communication, but also how we analyze and reason and make decisions, how we learn, how we break down information, and how we problem solve. The lessons of Mercury in astrology are generally about encouraging people to develop clear and effective communication skills, embrace your intellectual curiosity, and being adaptable to various modes of thinking or being adaptable to new information and new ideas that comes to you. So Mercury also emphasizes the importance of staying open-minded and seeking knowledge and refining our mental abilities. Whether it's in a birth chart or during transits, understanding Mercury provides insights into how we learn, how we share ideas, and how we connect with the world through communication and sharing of ideas, or through intellectual stimulation and connection. So Mercury in Sagittarius, or Mercury combined with the archetype of Sagittarius. Sagittarius inspires a collective yearning for higher knowledge and a broader perspective. So Sagittarius is an archetype that symbolizes a time where people feel compelled to broaden their horizons. And that can be through travel, it can be through education, philosophical pursuits. The archetype of Sagittarius invites people to embrace diversity and seek truth and approach life with a generally optimistic, positive, and open-minded attitude. The lessons imparted by Sagittarius energy involve fostering the spirit of adventure, because in order to broaden our horizons, we have to step out of our comfort zone. In order to experience new things and learn from other cultures, we have to be willing to kind of adventure out into the greater world and open our mind to learn about these different belief systems and different cultures and societies and languages. So Sagittarius has this energy of adventure because it is the adventure of, I can't learn more about the world around me without going into the world around me. And therefore, Sagittarius also values honesty and humor and having a generous outlook or being optimistic, because these things help you open your mind and your heart to new experiences and broadening the horizon. If you are lacking humor and generosity, you're going to be closing yourself off, right? And if you don't value honesty, then you don't want to learn what's really going on. You want to just stay focused on what you believe to be true. Because sometimes honesty is about hearing things that we don't necessarily like to hear. And so we need to be able to value receiving information that is challenging to us, right? And through all of this, we can journey towards a more expansive and enlightened worldview. And that's what Sagittarius really wants, is this wisdom and enlightenment that comes when you have expanded your horizons and when you have opened yourself to a broader perspective. Ultimately, this results in greater wisdom and enlightenment. So when Mercury combines forces with Sagittarius, it brings this sense of adventure and exploration to the realm of communication and curiosity and just how our minds work. So Mercury is the planet of thought and expression, like mental expression, and it's aligning with this expansive and optimistic energy of Sagittarius. So the transit of Mercury in Sagittarius is going to inspire a broad-minded approach to thinking and communicating. It's going to encourage curiosity and a thirst for knowledge. The lessons of Mercury in Sagittarius revolve around embracing diverse perspectives and expressing your own ideas with enthusiasm, avoiding getting bogged down by overly detailed thinking. It's about like looking at the bigger picture, right? So it's a time of communication that comes with more optimism, exploring new intellectual horizons, and engaging in more open-minded conversations. However, there's a risk of, when you overlook the finer details, you might miss something important, right? So while this transit or the combination of Mercury with Sagittarius can foster like a really visionary mindset and a sense of intellectual freedom and this willingness to learn from many diverse sources, there's also a little bit of danger of missing some of the details or nuance that Mercury would normally be good at picking up, but it gets kind of like so inspired by this Sagittarius optimism that maybe Mercury can forget to pay attention to the little things. So we have to remember that Mercury is in detriment in the sign of Sagittarius. So it is in Sagittarius is in opposition to Gemini. And Gemini is Mercury's domicile. It's where Mercury rules the whole sign of Gemini. And so when Mercury is in Sagittarius, it's in opposition to its home. And this is considered a detrimental placement for Mercury. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's all bad. It just means that Mercury has trouble doing its very best at what it does. It's kind of like being in unfamiliar territory. Say you traveled somewhere and no one speaks your language. It doesn't mean that you are going to do bad things while you're there. It just means that you're going to maybe have some trouble doing the things that you normally do, or getting your point across, or being as helpful as you want to be, because there's a language barrier, right? So when Mercury's in Sagittarius, it's this expansive and optimistic fire energy that gives curious Mercury like so much to explore, but it spreads Mercury's energy really thin in an effort to maybe explore too much at once. So the way that Sagittarius focuses on the big picture can detract from Mercury's natural gift of focusing on the details. Additionally, Sagittarius forms a square aspect with Virgo, and Virgo is the other place that Mercury is in domicile. So there's also this square to the other home of Mercury, the Virgo Sagittarius square. So again, Sagittarius is not good at analyzing the details and making a plan and thinking things through. It's just so focused on wanting to see the big picture, understand the philosophy of life rather than the details of life. So the Sagittarius, so Mercury here in Sagittarius can tend to overshoot the target or miss important details or have too many irons in the fire and potentially crash and burn out. And this isn't to say that Mercury in Sagittarius is always in for trouble, just that it is an energy that can quickly run out of hand. And it's just like any tool that needs to be wielded properly in order to get the most benefit. The Sagittarius energy combined with Mercury can easily just kind of run out of pocket, and we need to use extra mindfulness to be able to wield the Mercury energy in the Sagittarius realm more appropriately. So let's connect the energy of Mercury and Sagittarius with the Eight of Wands tarot card. So at this time, as I am recording this, Mercury has been in Sagittarius for the past 20 days. So we've all collectively been going through this Mercury in Sagittarius energy. Today is November 28th of 2023. So looking back over this past month or so that Mercury has been in Sagittarius, I feel like time has just really flown by. Everyone's been really busy. There's just been a lot of changes, a lot of things going on. And everyone I know has also commented how fast this month has gone by this year. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's already the end of November. What happened to November? And everyone I know has also had this experience of just like a lot of things happening rapidly that they didn't necessarily make those changes, but they had to respond to those changes. So I can see in the image of the Eight of Wands this sense of time moving very quickly. The wands represent the element of fire, and fire is all about action. So these wands are flying through the air as if they've already been thrown and they're rapidly approaching their destination. And the illustration holds this sense of dynamic energy. The wands have already been thrown. There's nothing now that we can change in their direction or stop them from landing where they may. So in this sense, the wands are like words because we have this Mercury energy. So the wands are like words that have already been spoken. Once you speak something, you cannot unspeak it, and the people who heard you say it cannot unhear it. So these words have already been spoken, and they have set off a chain reaction of events. People are going to respond to the words that they have heard spoken. You cannot necessarily unspeak the words, but there are events and feelings and reactions that are now unfolding. So it's like where news is flying quickly around the world and people are responding and reacting as soon as they hear the news. The words spoken and communication is the realm of Mercury, and the actions or reactions that result from communication is the realm of fire. So fire is always related to actions or reactions. Fire itself is a chemical reaction that is taking place. It's not a solid thing, it's a reaction. So fire is about the energy of reaction. And if Mercury is about words and communication, and we see these wands, we're like, okay, there is a reaction taking place. The words have been spoken. The wand has already been thrown, and you applied force and direction, and now it's just flying through the air. So what's done is done, what's said is said, and now all we can do is react as things happen. So all we can really do now is control our reactions to the results, right? So hopefully we can apply mindfulness and wisdom and remember to combine whatever new information is coming in with other information that we have so that we can get to that big picture of what is actually going on. Because we don't want to be too distracted or focused on just what is coming in right here. We want to remember that, like, okay, there's a lot of other things going on too, and this is just part of that. And how can I respond in a way that's not just responding to this, but responding to the big picture? So we kind of have to learn to tame or contain the chemical reaction of these rapid developments that are taking place around us. And this is where Sagittarius is associated with wisdom and alchemy and teachers or gurus. The overall major arcana card for Sagittarius is Temperance. And this is knowing how to tame and contain the chemical reaction in order to get the results that you want. So we need to know how to direct the fire and the chemical reaction in a way that is getting the result that we want. So the mutable fire energy of Sagittarius is ripe for alchemy. And the Sagittarius creates this environment in which things will rapidly expand and grow and have a chemical reaction, right? So in this segment of Sagittarius that is ruled by Mercury, it's really reactive to communication and thoughts and ideas because it's Mercury ruled. So we can't change what is coming or what is already set in motion, but we can attempt to respond with temperance and wisdom to the events as they unfold or as we receive new information. So this card is going to be relevant at a lot of different times in your life. Obviously, this card is relevant anytime that you draw this card in a tarot card reading. And you'll want to ask yourself about, how are you dealing with this fire energy and this rapid change? And how are you managing the energy of Mercury in Sagittarius? You might draw this card at a time when Mercury is not in Sagittarius, but when you get this card, it's a good reminder, to ask yourself if Mercury is combining with Sagittarius energy at this time for whatever reason, even if it's not literally in the planets, how am I managing the energy of Mercury combining with Sagittarius? Right? So this card can be studied and be like a focus for you to have your own journaling or self-development meditation practice. Not only just when you draw the card, but anytime that Mercury is in Sagittarius. Like over these past 20 days, I think we can all kind of relate to the energy of this card. So it's a good time to maybe study this card when Mercury is in Sagittarius at any degree. Also, if you have Mercury in Sagittarius in your birth chart at any degree, then this will be a card that is particularly meaningful for you throughout your life. There's some life lessons with this card. And this card can also be relevant when any planet is in the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius. Especially Sun, Moon, and the inner planets, right? And also if you have any planets in your birth chart in the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius, especially Sun, Moon, your rising, or the inner planets, right? So any of these times or any of these placements in your birth chart or by transit can be a good time to meditate with the Eight of Wands tarot card. And I have some questions for you that you can perhaps use for your journaling or your meditations. Feel free to pause so that you can write down each question. You can also use these questions in a tarot card reading if you want to use the tarot to help you expand on these questions. There are 8 questions, so you have one for each wand in the card. What part of your life feels like it is moving very quickly? What can you do to develop resilience and make sure that you don't burn out? Where are you getting your news and information from? And can you take an honest look at those sources to see how you are responding to this news? What are some things that are already set in motion? And can you take steps to better prepare for what is coming? Part of wisdom is knowing your priorities. Is there anything that you can let go of at this time so that you can focus more on your priorities and you aren't wearing yourself too thin? You can't be responsible for everything. What can you delegate to someone else so that you aren't so overwhelmed or busy? There's a lot of dynamic energy and tension built up. What can you do to help physically burn off some of this extra energy? And then finally, what are you feeling compelled to act quickly about? And can you go ahead and get that thing started now and stop putting it off? All right, I hope that this little video has helped you understand this tarot card, the Eight of Wands, in a deeper way. I hope that it has also helped you understand the energy of Mercury and of Sagittarius in a deeper way. And most of all, I hope that studying this card and this planet and sign has helped you understand yourself and your life a little more deeply. As always, I wish you the very best in life. I thank you so much for listening. And if you want to support what I'm doing and help me make more of these videos and podcasts, then please consider supporting my Patreon, www.patreon.com/HestiasMuse. And if you're a member of the Patreon, I do have some exclusive content. There's a written version of this post that comes out. There is a additional, astrology things that I offer on my Patreon for exclusive members. So that's a great way of supporting me and the work that I am doing here. You can also get a personal astrology reading from me. My website is www.hestiasmuse.net, and that's where you can find out how to contact me and follow all of my social medias. You can also contact me that way to set up a reading, and let's look at your chart together. I'm excited. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in this week, and I will see you next time when we talk about the Nine of Wands